everybody. This is Robyn Leslie with OnlyTheInspired.com doing another amazing coach interview. Today I have Jim Burgoon with me, so I can't wait to get into his story and see how he could help you. So in a couple of minutes, describe who you are and how you help people.
Awesome. So want to say hello, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out with us. So my name is Jim Burgoon. My brand is called The Everyday Leader. And I have been a leadership and personal development guy for probably about 15 to 20 years now. I have a master's degree in leadership, and I'm a John Maxwell team guy. So I have a lot of experience, and I've done multitude of things, whether it be a classroom teacher to building organizations to a church pastor to several other things. So being in the leadership realm, I've been around the block a little bit. So now I take that and that personal development, and I help leaders break through limitations. I help them overcome their fears and their things in their mind that holds them back, and so that they can get started and grow their businesses, because the hardest thing to do is get started and then get through that initial phase. So I come in because I'm a starter. I get in with my people, with the people my tribe, and I say, hey, listen, here's what we need to do, and we get started. And I'm going to tell you, everyone I've started with and the methods that I use with them have skyrocketed and become rock stars. And I can give you tons of examples as we go through our talk together. But that's kind of me in a nutshell. I mean, I'm a family man. I have 2 little girls and a wife, and I'm happy. I'm great. I'm very fun to be around. So
awesome. Glad to have you here. And getting started is the hardest part. It's the scariest part. And if you can have somebody walk you through that whole process, that is super helpful. So how did you get started in this business? Was it one event, or was it a series of events that happened?
Yeah, it was kind of a series of events. So it was interesting. Like, I was a serial entrepreneur since I was probably about 6, right? So I was 6, 7 years old. I had started a company of my own. I mean, the company was Bee Busters, because it was 1984. I loved Ghostbusters, and I was allergic to bees. So we started this company where we had sashes and boxes and chemicals and everything, because we were going to go in the neighborhood and kill all the bees, and we were going to get paid for it. And some people probably thought we were cute kids and paid us, whatever. But that was my first one. And then 2 years later, I got into another business where I was selling soft pretzels. I'm from Philadelphia. There was a pretzel factory. I bought $10 of pretzels that I bummed off my mom, the money. And then I was like, let's go sell them. And I made $30 or $40 a week doing that at like 8 years old. So I was a serial entrepreneur, and I've always been. And then I sold candy in school and just going on and on. But there was a problem and a break in my story, because when I was younger, I'd been through some trouble spots, some abandonment, some abuse. And then I remember where everything stopped was when my mom, my grandma, who meant well, because you know how people mean well, but they say really mean things. I was a musician too. So I was a great singer, and I was a trumpet player. I was like, yeah, we're going to do something with this. And I wanted to be a music teacher, musician, that kind of sense. And my mom and my grandma looked at me, and they were like, you have no talent. I was like, it broke me. And I don't know if you or any of your listeners has ever experienced this, that moment when you're so excited, when you're so passionate about starting businesses and living dreams and doing the things you love, and then somebody who's so close to you says, well, you have no talent, or you have something, or whatever they may have said to you, and you sit back and you're like, man, do you believe them or not? And when you're young, you're impressionable. And I had already been through abuse and abandonment and all these other nasty little things. And then when that was said, it was like I was hit by a train. And I stopped. And here's what the problem with that was every time I failed, it just reinforced what they said. So that thing got deeper and deeper and deeper. And so I went to college, I joined the military, I did a lot of things just to get beyond what was said to me. But it took me, and then, well, actually in that story, I got out, met my wife in the military. We gave our lives to Jesus, ended up starting a church, Port St. Lucie. Did that for a little while, about probably 15 years, if you call that a little while. And in the midst of that, there's always been this nag to get back to what I was really called to do, which was entrepreneurship. And it was only in the last 5 years, maybe 6, where I finally broke through because I had started studying leadership. I mean, if I'm growing an organization, got to study how to deal with people. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right. And I found that I'm actually naturally gifted with people. I'm a natural communicator, and I'm naturally gifted with people. So I just started pouring into that. And so we had a lot of success. But I realized that my heart is in entrepreneurship. My heart is to do this thing and create and just be out there and impact people like this. So about 5 years ago, we had stepped down and walked away from a church we started, from other things that we had started. And I started as an entrepreneur, and there was a little bit of a challenge during that time. But ultimately, I started finding my passion again, because I was like, oh my gosh, I love doing this. Now, I failed for the last 3.5, 4 years. Don't get me wrong. But the mindset was different. I had spent 15 years working through mindset. My wife, the reason I had to go full entrepreneur for a while, and then I had to step back to a job, and then I stepped out and stepped back for a few times. My wife is diagnosed with multiple mental illnesses, was hospitalized, so I had to stay home. What do? Let's go back to the entrepreneurship that we did. But by that time, I had gone through so much healing. I've gone through so much internal work. I've gone through so much personal development that my mindset was different. And I'm like, I can do this. This is what I was born to do. And so here we are in this series of events that happened to pull me to this moment where I'm all about getting you broken through to what you were meant to do, that purpose, that passion inside of you to just come out of you so we can break that fear and break through. That's really where we're at now.
Great. And yeah, you never know where life is going to lead you. And that's awesome that it led you right back to where you were, where you just loved it when you were little.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny though? Like life always leads us back to what we were starting in the first place.
A long, treacherous journey sometimes. It's like, really? Couldn't I have skipped all that? But then, we needed those experiences. You needed to learn all the different aspects before you could be as effective as you are now.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So describe your ultimate vision for your business.
My ultimate vision for my business? Mm-hmm. Well, here's the ultimate vision for my life is I want to transform 1 million families, the financial landscape of 1 million families, because as a believer, and I don't expect anybody else I work with to be a Christian or not, but as a believer, I believe that if there are people out there who are fully funded, that they can literally transform the entire world. I mean, you can fully fund churches, fully fund your organizations. And, my wife and I have hearts for those that are in sex trafficking, those that are orphans, churches to be planted. People are all around the world are hungry. We want to make as much money as we can to help those. So we want to help others and bring them on the journey, because I know if somebody can go from, broke mindset, barely any money in their account, to fully funded, man, other people will start becoming naturally generous, because the number one excuse I hear, I would give to that, but I don't have any money to, or if I wasn't broke and if I didn't have to eat, I'd give to that. Well, if I'm out there, my mission in life, my vision is to help change that, to go, I can't do this, to where do I sign the check? Because there's so many people out there that need help. And I just really believe in humanity to the point I think there are a lot of people, not everybody are generous. And if they had the means, they would do it. So we're going to transition 1 million families, and it has to be families because this is family units, to be fully funded so that they can fully fund the dreams on their hearts that God has given them, the dream on their heart that's really special to them, so that the world can be a better place. That's really what our vision is about.
I love it. Yay. Yeah. And I was one of those who was always broke. I wish I could. I wish I could. I wish I could. It hurts me not to give. Mm-hmm. And so when I came up with this idea of OnlyTheInspired, a big part of that is not only from me, but the collaboration of all these members. The donation part to charities is built into my vision. It's built into my business. And because, and it's such a bigger impact than what I could do on my own, just the collaboration of all those people, then yeah, you can make the worldwide changes. You could bring fresh water. You could help the orphanages. That it breaks my heart because those kids never chose that. They did the foster kids. Yeah. So I love that. That's
they absolutely. And you know what, Robyn, it has to be bigger than us, because think about this. If I had $1 billion, I can do a lot of good in the world, right? But I'm going to die. I'm 42. I may have 50 years left. Maybe. I'm thinking 97, so maybe I have 57 years left, right? But even in that, when I die, my money goes to other people, and I go on to what I believe is heaven. But the deal is, but if I change and help 1 million families become fully funded, the legacy that's created never dies.
Oh, for sure.
And if your vision stops with you, your vision isn't big enough.
I agree. I love the way you think. So what beliefs do you have that set you apart from your competition? And, you know, I'm a collaboration, not competition girl. But from all the other coaches out there that help people find their vision and to start their business, what beliefs do you have that kind of sets you apart?
Well, I mean, there's a couple that we've already kind of talked about some of that. I do have a core biblical belief system. I think that's part of it because my belief drives me. It's what I live for. It's what, you know, especially the life I came from to be where I'm at in that. I think other things that drive me that I think separates me from a lot of people out there, which really breaks my heart, because I don't believe in competition either. Because if I think you're better at something, I'm going to give somebody to you as a referral, because I don't know it all, but I'm good at what I do. So I'll give referrals. So here's, I think, the challenge. What separates me is when I commit to a client, when I commit to a person, I give 120,000% to them. Like, we're going to do this. Like, I don't stop at, well, you only paid me so much, so this is all you get. No, I'm literally like, there's a mission inside of you. Here's my price. If you can pay it, great. Let's do this thing. If you can't, then come back when you can. But when you get me and you hire me, you get all of me. And I think that's really what separates me, because I just believe in humanity and I believe in people. And I love people so much that, like, if I say I love you, it's a commitment. I'm not going to give up on you. If you're not going to do the work, then yeah, I'm going to fire you as a client. If you don't want to do the work, we're done. I don't want to work with anybody who doesn't want to work. But the bottom line is, like, you get me, right? Even in my beta group, like, I just started a beta group. Those guys, I'm going live all the time. I'm answering their questions live. I'm not afraid of somebody leaving because they got too much value, because I just believe that if they get a lot of value, they'll stay with you until they don't need you. My job is not to make sheep that are going to follow me all around the world. My job is to help you grow to a place where you don't need me anymore.
I like that. That's awesome. So what was the hardest thing to overcome when starting your business?
Wow, that's a good question. Wow, that's a really good question. So I think some of the hardest things for me came down to perfectionism, because I had been through a lot, and part of that perfectionism brought fear. What do people say about me? What about the rejection? Because that's what I had lived. You know, I had lived that my dad walked out on me when I was 4. I had lived that I watched my grandfather choke to death when I was 10. I lived through a lot of things. And so when I'm finally at this place, like, when I was a kid, there was no fear. Hey, listen, let's just do it. But then I was older and I was like, oh my gosh, what if they don't like me? Because I went through a period of my time where I was a people pleaser. And I had to kill that thing, because I'm not going to be a people pleaser. I'm a people empowerer. And I'm not going to please people, because a lot of things I say you're not going to like, but it's truth to grow you. So when I started this, a lot of times it was, I'm just afraid of what people would think of me. I'm afraid that everybody's going to not do this, or that I'm an imposter, basically. But there came a point where, after all those years of working through that stuff, and I just had to punch fear in the face and throat chop perfection and just do it. And I found that, like, here I am. I'm launching things that I've been trying to launch for a while, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this. What happens if it fails? Great, it failed. I don't believe in so much failure. It's either you're going to do it successfully or you're going to learn. There's no, and the only way you truly fail is if you give up and you don't do. So I just jumped all in. I jumped both feet, everything in, because I had to make the decision. If this is truly what I wanted to do, then this is what I've got to do. And it was the hardest thing in those beginning years, getting back out to do this.
Yeah. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's having the fear and doing it anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And, so it's interesting. So there's a certain amount of fear to start a business, but not, you had enough bravery to join the service, which I do not.
Right.
And so it's interesting. One could actually kill you, but sometimes the one that we actually are most afraid of won't actually kill us. It's just in our own head. It's our own limitations.
So, and it really is. Now, even my joining the military, there's a story behind everything, right? And I'll be honest with you, I had more guns pointed at me in my old neighborhood than I did in the military. I'm from the inner city of Philadelphia. I've had bullets flying down the street at some points. That has happened. I remember I was in school, I was in high school, and it was a bus ride down to Center City, and we were sitting there and there were two people fighting, and guy pulls out a nickel-plated .45 and points it right in my face. I'm like, yo, I wasn't in your fight, dude. And just a lot of things like that. But I'm going to tell you this is when the pain is so great to stay the same, you change. Because you want to go to the place of least resistance, the least pain. Me staying where I was killing me. I didn't get mugged like that. I did have guns pointed at me, but that's struggles. I fought, growing up, I fist fought a lot of people. That's struggles. And I realized that if I stayed, I would never be who I was meant to be. And I figured this out at 17 years old. And I had a very tumultuous relationship with my mother. I was sick and tired of everything, sick and tired of everybody. And I saw an opportunity to join the Coast Guard. And I was like, yeah, just sign me up. I don't even care what it is. Just sign me up. And I ended up, I'm going to tell you, it was the best decision of my life because I ran from pain to try to find pleasure, which is what people do. But inadvertently, I wasn't a military guy. I'm a free spirit. But going there, my first 2 years I was on a ship, I traveled the world for free. I've stepped probably on 15, 20 continents, not continents, countries. And I've been on probably 5 of the 7 continents. 5 of the 7 I think I've been on. So, I've traveled the world doing this. And in the military is where I met my wife. So it's like a ripple effect of things. I went because this was my way out. I had no money. I had no life. I was working a dead-end job. I was 18 going to college. Everything was falling apart. Here's an opportunity. Great. They'll pay me to go travel. Great. Learn a job. Great. But I met my wife, who we've been together 20 years now, and I got to travel the world. So, I didn't know that going in, but I knew that as I was going. So that's what it was. I was running from pain. And then when you become an entrepreneur, now you're running into pain.
Leaning into it.
rolling into it. And I think there's the biggest challenge is because now we're running into pain, but this is where mindset training comes in because you got to frame it correctly. And I found that the entrepreneurial pain is a pain that I enjoy and invigorates me with the challenge. I didn't think that was going to happen. And I was like, oh, this is great. Some days I'm like, I haven't made a sale in a month. This sucks. But then all of a sudden you're like, man, this is great. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I was built for this. And I realized that through everything I've been through. But I would have never known that unless I tried.
Exactly.
So you got to jump out. Yeah.
You do. Tony Robbins says people do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure.
Yep.
So, yep.
100%. Yep.
So this next question, I ask everybody, I think it's really important. Some people have it, some people don't. So do you have the support network of friends and family encouraging you to do this, to become a coach? Or is this something you felt compelled to do and you're doing it no matter what?
Kind of both.
Kind of
Kind of
both.
both. And yeah, I may be the odd duck here because you usually get one or the other, but I kind of have both.
A lot of people have both.
Yeah. So, oh, well, that's good. See, I don't think that's the question I've ever breached with people, because one of the things I teach in leadership is the law of the inner circle, which is John Maxwell's law. It says you are the sum of the 5 people you put around you. So I've been very intentional about who is in that group, because I want to grow to a place where they are. So there's very intentional people around me that are encouragers, that are pushing me, that are my coaches and things like that. And then I do have some friends that I'm very intentional. If you're like in that inner circle of friends, you're there for a reason. But then I've got people on the outside. Even my mom at some point was like, you need to quit. Da, da, da. I was like, no, because I'm not doing this for you. I'm not doing this. I'm doing this for me. And because I'm doing this for me, everybody's going to be blessed by it, who work with me, who have ripple effects on who I bless, who blesses who. And I think it's a really big place of both. Like, I'm going to do this, whether I remove the quit option. I'll say it that way. But then I have my small group of people that I place around me intentionally that says, these are my group. This is the people who encourage me, who call me out on stuff. And these are the people who are going to force me to grow.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your favorite thing about your business?
Working with people. That's not even like, I don't even need to think like hard on that, because I don't. What my least favorite is working behind the scenes, is getting the funnels built and all the back end built. My favorite thing is having great conversations like this with you, and getting in front of people and speaking in front of people and just getting energetic and having fun. And, even in the times where I'm doing one-on-one coaching or group coaching, it's that interaction with people that just really drives me.
Yeah, I love people. I crave being around people, and sometimes you struggle, especially with COVID, where you're not able to go out and you're in Florida, which is a hot zone right now.
Oh yeah. We're getting like 12, 15,000 a day, 12,000 a day, something like that. And it stinks because I want to be around people. Like, I want to hug. I'm a hugger. I even have a shirt that I got made. It says free hugs on it. Like, I can't. So I hug my children extra.
Yeah. Well, and FYI, people, his wife just got over COVID. So he's experienced that right in his household, which is tough, super tough.
Yeah, it is. It was when life puts your life on pause and you can't do anything but manage and clean and do those things. You have to put the business on pause and everything else in life on pause, because it's not a fun thing.
No. So what inspires you? What are you passionate about? And it doesn't have to be business.
Oh, man. So what inspires me? I mean, there are a few things that really inspire me. And first and foremost is my faith. The inspiration I get from the stories of overcoming and how God just really is involved in people's lives nowadays. And just understanding that I'm part of something bigger. I mean, that drives me. That literally wakes me up in the morning, and I'm in my Bible or I'm praying for people. And I've got people who I don't coach that'll call me and start saying, hey, can you pray for me? And it's stuff like that just means you're making a bigger impact than you think. When people are just out of the blue calling you, because now people know you, and I'm just going to pray with them. And I don't have an agenda. I hope they become clients, but if they never do, that's fine. I'm still going to give that love and attention to people. And that seriously inspires me. I think the other thing that really inspires me is my wife. My wife, with the fact that she is where she is in life. She's a beautiful lady, probably one of the best hearts, a golden heart that you've ever met. But she's also struggling because she was diagnosed with 5 different mental illnesses. And so, but she gets up and she tries her hardest, and some days she'll be able to clean and help and be present. And then she'll go weeks where she can't get off the couch because she's so depressed, So it's like, she inspires me because it's people like that who are trying to push further and further and further in their lives, whether it be try to business, try to mother, and all those things, while fighting things that you and I will never see or maybe not understand.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the true warriors in this life that get up in spite of their disabilities and still do what's needed. So she inspires me, and my kids are right behind that with that as well.
Awesome. Well, and that goes into my next question. Who inspires you?
Yep.
So
So absolutely. It's all about people.
yes. So my last question, big question. So
Cool.
if you could leave one tip or golden nugget for the people listening, and it was the only thing you could tell them and your only chance to say it, what would that be?
Okay, so if it was my only chance to say it and my only chance to do this, I think I would say this. And it sounds so simple. It sounds almost rudimentary, and it's like, why? If you think about it though, it's just get started. Get started. And the thought behind that is, if you never start, you'll never make an impact. And a lot of people are sitting on the fence, and it could be they have a business and they just they're on the fence about starting a new venture, or on the fence about pivoting, or on the fence about doing whatever, maybe starting a podcast, writing a book, or starting a YouTube. Just get started. Punch fear in the face, karate chop, perfection in the throat, and just get started. Those two words, write them on your wall. Get started. That's it.
Yeah. And then you won't have regrets later. And
Right.
it might not be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But at least you could say, I did it. I tried.
Absolutely.
I started it. Yeah. Instead of, I wish I would have.
Well, absolutely. And I think I'll leave with this thought too, is it will never be perfect. If you launch a 100% perfect product, then you're lying to yourself, because there's no room for growth. So you start with imperfections and you grow from there. So what? If you have a failed product, great. Change it. Find the right audience. Just get started.
Mm-hmm. So is there anything else you want to share before we talk about your giveaway?
I think if for you who are watching this, I just would say this. There's been a lot of times in your life where you've probably faced discouragement, and you've probably wanted to give up. Matter of fact, you may be sitting there right now and be like, I just don't know how to get there any further. I don't know. You're just in that place where I just want to quit. So what I want to tell you is, don't. And when you get to the place where you want to quit, think about that person on the other side of your venture, on the other side of your business, that person's life is going to be changed because you showed up. Think about that person when you want to quit. Yeah, it's perfectly fine to pivot. It's perfectly fine to change things. But always keep that one person, not the masses, that one person on the other side of you showing up, that's life is going to be changed because you were there.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the coaches, that is their goal, just to help one person.
That's it.
And some of them it's millions, some of it's the world.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's still, whether it's one person that is making an impact, that's contribution, that is, leaving the world a better place.
Yep.
Because you did it. I love that. So you are gonna give away, so is this a ebook? Is it a PDF? What is it? The Winning Mindset.
Well, ebook, PDF, they're generally the same thing. I'm just going to call it a field guide to the winning entrepreneur, the winner's mindset. And it's really what it is 15 tactics and thought processes that we have to endure, not endure, but have to develop in order to be winners. I mean, that's when you really think about it. Again, everything comes down to mindset. You can Google tactics all day long. You can sit out there and Google could be your best friend and hire a coach and say, give me tactics, but that doesn't make you a winner. What makes you a winner is how you think about a thing. When I hire a coach, I don't hire them for, hey, tell me what you did so I can reproduce it. No. How did you think about this thing so that I can start to think the processes and my mindset come to a higher level? Because when I start thinking differently, I start winning more. So I put together this little freebie that gives 15 things in there about how to be a winner in that mindset. And so I think it's going to bless a lot of people, because a lot of people feel defeated. A lot of people feel like they can't win. Well, here we go. It's not a question that you can't, it's a question that you can, but here are some tips and tactics that you're going to be able to do in order to win.
I love that. So you're going to go to www.frompassiontosuccess.com. Great URL, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's www.frompassiontosuccess.com. And I always spell that just in case.
Perfect.
And I love your giveaway. I think that's helpful. And, and just to find out, all right, I'm missing number 2, 4, and 8. So how can I work on that? And I love that you give that as a guide. I think that's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So for everybody watching, please make sure that you share the video. There's lots of wisdom, and he's obviously got a heart of gold, and it's wonderful. So anybody that needs to hear this message, or they feel like they need to bring up their leadership, or start their business, or stop making excuses because they're scared, Jim might be your guy. So share the video, and just spread the love. And this whole summit's all about the value of coaching, and obviously we could see the value of Jim's coaching, and I don't doubt for a second that he's gonna affect 1 million households in his lifetime. So I love that you're doing that. So
appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much for being here.
Oh, I loved having this conversation. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, we will see you later, guys.